Whoa.
Oh, are we sure we can't just skip this one this month? Because
I don't know
wow.
who put these in this order. This is not the order we should be going in. Or maybe it is. Maybe we should be ending all of our positive news should be at the tail end of this entire market report.
We'll just start with just terrible news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, here it is, the meat of it, the terrible news. Westfield, I don't know what is going on here, but we've seen, anybody who's watched this podcast knows that I'm a huge fan of Westfield. I own homes at Westfield. I am still a long-term believer in Westfield, but I will say in the short term, this looks awful. Days on the market is 106. That is crazy. And rents seem to be flattening out, and then the sneak peek into June does show a bit of a decline next month. So short term, this does not look awesome. I will say though, however, it has had such a run up. I think when we started doing these, I can't remember, but I remember we looked at it a couple months ago, but 2-3 years ago, average rent was 1,600, 1,700. So I mean, we're up a tremendous amount. So for me, 1 or 2 months of a little bit of a correction, not that big of a deal, but days on the market, that is a big deal. Now, I did look at that data. So we pulled that data from MyBor, and one, there's not a ton of listings that lease in Westfield that are listed in MyBor. So the data set is limited. And a lot of them, if not maybe even half of them, are brand new townhomes that are currently being listed. So I have a feeling that that's really affecting the days on the market, because if you're purchasing a brand new townhome and you're trying to cash flow it or even come close to cash flowing it, you're going to have to be stubborn on your price, and so it might take them a little bit longer to get that leased up. So, and is it a townhome? Is the demand just not there for the townhomes? I mean, that's kind of what it's telling me at that price point. The demand for, and most of those townhomes are right at this $2,500 a range mark. So maybe that's not where I'm putting my money if I'm looking to buy new. I'm probably not buying a new townhome in Westfield and trying to lease it up for $2,500 a month, because that's looking like it's going to take me over to get it leased, which is not good at all.
Yeah. So as you were talking and as I'm absorbing some of that, and I agree with everything you've probably said, I was thinking, who's investing in Westfield? And what I was thinking is probably the ones who are immediately putting their money there are probably not looking at all of these immediate numbers, which are, in my opinion, saying this isn't the first place to look. Mm-hmm. But if you're local or you have some local knowledge of what Westfield is actually doing, it's hard not to see it as a great appreciation play, a great place to get in now, because they're growing. Again, the leadership there is making sure that every new construction that's going up, whether it be commercial or residential, is done to the specifications that's going to keep Westfield as a very attractive market, as a Carmel-esque type market. So that's if you are local, you see these numbers and they're like, man, why would I look there? But then you get more of the local perspective, and it's like, man, that's actually a good market that these numbers aren't going to indicate that you should probably still be looking at.
I agree 100%. I've told you I'm still bullish on Westfield. There's so much going on there. There's so much potential. There's so much growth. It's hard not to like Westfield just because of all that. There's so much construction, so much happening there. And if I'm an investor, I'm personally not buying a brand new townhome and trying to rent it for $2,500 a month. I'm not doing that. I'm looking for a smarter buy, something a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit older. Those are still available all day long, right around the 300-ish price point. You can get a nice home that's very easily rentable for around 300 in Westfield. Those are the types of things I'm buying. I'm not trying to push a brand new home at 2,500, a brand new townhome at 2,500. So that's where I'm buying if I'm buying a Westfield.
And that's a really good point too. I mean, these average sales prices that we're looking at, that's probably not where your investors. Well, that's absolutely not what your investors likely to pay, right? There's going to be. This is just an average, which means if you're an investor looking at these markets, you're going to be at the bottom level of this average that we're indicating here. So there are homes that can be purchased, and that's important to note, that can be purchased under this average sales price and still gain you what you're looking at for an average rent, maybe with a little bit of rehab or investment on that lower end price point as far as sales goes, and then you're going to level out at an average rent around 2,500. So that's a good point to mention.
Yep. Let's take a look at the inventory on the next slide, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
So inventory, same as a lot of the other markets that we've been talking about. For some reason, January, February just had a ton of inventory. We've kind of slowly gone through that and seeing a little bit of an uptick, due to seasonality, which again is, up from 72 to 82, and that's even next month. That's into June. So really pretty encouraging news there, which makes me believe that we should see an improvement in the days on the market, because just the inventory has gone down by, 30, 40, almost 50 homes since the beginning of the year. So that's encouraging for the next few months to come, knowing that our inventory is down, while in theory demand should be spiking and actually peaking. So encouraged by that. The days on the market should fall, I would think, pretty significantly from that 106.
I wonder what the new construction numbers look like. Like, how many homes are going up in Westfield on a monthly basis compared to, I don't know, any of these other where there's still a tremendous amount of new construction going on. And I wouldn't doubt that immediately has an impact on your days on market, right? They're just throwing up homes, twice as fast as, which it markets like McCordsville, Fishers, those outlier areas where there's still a ton of new construction going on, right? In comparison to previous years, there's a ton of new construction going on. But in Westfield, maybe there's a ton new construction going on, which is playing into your average days on market. That completely makes sense. So, that kind of piques my interest a little bit more in why we need to stay in tune in the market reports going forward. I would not be surprised at all if we get to a point where that levels out and you and I are both like, oh my gosh, if you bought a house in Westfield when we were like, stay away because the average days on market's crazy. Maybe you got in at the right time, because we're going to see this level out and stabilize as that new construction starts to slow down, which is inevitably going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really pretty optimistic about the days on the market here. I mean, it can't get much worse.
Yeah, that's a solid point. Yeah, exactly. The worst it could possibly get is 123. Let's hope.
Let's hope we don't go back to that.